Are you a fan of The Witcher? Have you ever wondered how the notorious monster slayers were driven to be extinct? Netflix answers all your questions in the 2021 animated film. Hi guys, welcome back to Movie Myth. In today's video, we break down everything that happened in The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. The film was met with generally positive reviews, with an impressive 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 27 critics, and a favorable rating of 7.2 on IMDb. If you're a fan of Henry Cavill's The Witcher, then you'll surely appreciate this captivating prequel to the widely beloved story. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The film opens with an eerie feeling in the middle of the woods. As we follow a horse carriage, a strange raven appears out of nowhere, adding to the already unnerving setting. The carriage stops for a brief moment as we realize that it is carrying a father and his children, who seem to be lost in the woods. The children are evidently scared, as there have been multiple sightings of monsters throughout these woods. Their father reassures them that there's nothing to be afraid of. Moments later, a monster appears and fatally stabs the father right in front of his children. After witnessing their father being murdered before their eyes, the children try to escape, but the monster ends up murdering everyone, leaving only a young boy as the sole survivor. The boy is suddenly snatched from behind by a man, and he recognizes him as a Witcher. The Witcher confronts the monster, which quickly retaliates and attacks the Witcher. The Witcher is very confident, which is apparent by the witty comments that he manages to make all while battling with the monster. He pauses and drinks a potion that appears to turn his face pale, but enhances his magical and physical powers. He uses magic to attack the monster, but it manages to get away momentarily, interrupting the fight. The young boy urges the Witcher to kill the monster, which is called a Leshen. The Leshen snatches the Witcher before he sets it in flames with his magic powers. The Leshen utters its final words in an unknown foreign language before it dies. The Witcher then takes any valuable item from the dead father's body. Meanwhile, the kid is telling him that he's of noble blood and can't be left there to rot. Back at the boy's palace, he tells his people that the Witcher left him alone with no sympathy. A mage then appears, dries his tears, and urges the court to go after the Witcher's home of Kaer Morhen and send them into exile for his wrongdoings. She suggests the Witchers are the ones breeding the monsters to kill them later for coin, but the king dismisses her accusations. The mage Madame Gilchrist says that Witchers are the creation of foul sorcery, extorting the poor for money. The council laughs at the mage and says that the Witchers were the mage's creation and that they won't take any action. In another town, the Witcher relaxes with the riches he made from slaying the monster. A hooded figure tells the Witcher that the Leshen's last words were in Elyan, a dead elven dialect linked to a dark time in history. Few remember the language and fewer would dare to speak it. The figure appears to be an elf named Filavandrel who can speak the dialect. The Witcher tells him that he felt the dark energy in the woods or magic controlling the Leshen. Filavandrel reveals that girls have been disappearing from their homes, with the last one, Kitsu, speaking Elyan, which could have something to do with the monsters attacking. The elf asks the Witcher for help with the girls' disappearances, to which he replies that he only works for money. The elf is disgusted by the Witcher, condescendingly apologizing to him for trying to offer an alternative to a wasted winter at Kaer Morhen. With disdain, the elf asks the Witcher to imagine what it would be like if Witchers worked together for more than just money and thrill before leaving. The Witcher looks at a honey cake that reminds him of his past life as a child. In his flashbacks, he is revealed to be Vesemir. A lady is suffering hysterically while he's being scolded by his father and another man, who suggests they sell them. Vesemir is tasked to get something from the market when he's playfully attacked by a girl, who Vesemir saves as she falls from the roof of a barn. Vesemir teases Eliana, and they both look to be pretty close. She tells him that she's been tasked by their lord to accompany him to the market. Vesemir complains about not being given any coin unless he's tasked to buy something, but Eliana objects and tells him to be grateful to have a roof over his head and food to eat. She asks him what he would buy if he had all the money in the world, and he tells her that he would look for adventure and glory, and she replies that she would buy a lake house and watch the sun rise with a handsome husband. Vesemir is up to mischief as he suggests stealing a honey cake from the market. After stealing, Vesemir is chased by a merchant around the market. He takes the honey cake and departs, while Eliana steals the herbs they need. They eat the cake and share a moment before being confronted by a Witcher who caught them stealing. The drunk Witcher is trying to find the lady who is sick, and tells them that only a sword will deal with the lady's problem. After learning that his name is Deglin, they are forced to bring him back to their home. While spreading a substance around the bed, Deglin tells them that a demon is possessing the lady, Amar, which feeds on a person's madness. He instructs everyone out as he exorcises the demon, but Vesemir asks to remain. Deglin tells him to catch the monster after it is expelled from the body. He whispers some spell and the substance lights on fire. The lady throws up a mysterious substance and the scene horrifies Vesemir, who's attacked by the monster. Deglin kills it and tells Vesemir that there will always be another monster to deal with. As Deglin leaves, Vesemir follows him and is given a couple of coins by him for his help, which only teases Vesemir, who gets a glimpse of what riches look like. Vesemir asks Deglin to take him back with him, as he hates his current life as a servant. Deglin refuses to take him, telling Vesemir that he hesitated, and Witchers do not hesitate. The next day, Vesemir is in a bad mood as he continues resenting his current life. No longer being playful with Eliana, he argues with her and says that the coin Deglin earned last night is enough to get her whatever she wants. She replies that she'd be trading her debt from a master she hates to a master that she loves, and she leaves him. That night, the boy sees his exhausted father going to bed, thinking that he doesn't want to end up like his father. He leaves Eliana a honey cake and takes off, venturing into the wild weather searching for the Witcher. He finds Kaer Morhen, the home for all the Witchers, and we see Vesemir in the present time. Arriving there, the castle is filled with other Witchers returning from adventures with their gold. Vesemir meets Luca as they compare riches. Another Witcher, Sven, brings new recruits, and they complain about a shortage of monsters. Vesemir explains that monsters reproduce through the winter, which is why they rest in the castle during that time, and the rest of the year is hunting season. Vesemir talks with a much older Deglin about the Witcher's place in the world, reading posters written by Gilchrist advocating for their removal. Deglin tells him that he should just bury the children from before, and Vesemir replies that he does not get along with children, something he would soon be forced to cope with. Deglin assigns him to teach fencing to the new recruits, as the Witcher numbers are few this year, so they will all pull more weight. They talk about the bewitched lesson, and Deglin says that a new breed of beasts would be good for business. Meanwhile, Gilchrist investigates a scene of bodies, as the townspeople are riled up about the Witcher not helping them. Philip Andrel is seen investigating among them and leaves. Gilchrist goes back to the palace to speak to an elder, Lady Zerbst, as she tries to convince her to send a team to Kaer Morhen to investigate the Witchers. Gilchrist tells her that the creation of a Witcher involves horrors being done to children, and that Lady Zerbst's late husband would understand her suspicions. She explains that their laws state that a lord's widow is granted his seat in the court, which is how she got there. Back at the castle of Kaer Morhen, the children are going through brutal training. They aren't given food or sleep. One of the boys confronts Vesemir with a sword and is quickly taught that they are nothing in the world out there, while here they are at least given strength, purpose, and respect. We are taken back to a young Vesemir recalling the same things happening to him and hearing the exact same words alongside a young Luca. One of the children, Thomas, is crying as Luca explains that he was taken here by law of surprise, a law in which a child is promised to a Witcher when you can't pay him. Luca tells him that he was dumped here by his parents like most of the other children, and that no one chooses to be here on their own. Vesemir tries to comfort Thomas, who tells him that there are mages who are going to poison them to kill them and bring them back, but they won't be normal. Vesemir reassures him that they are going to come out better than normal. Before going to sleep, Vesemir wakes up in the water, wearing a wolf medallion. He finds the other children wearing the same. They realize that they are on a test for survival. Suddenly their medallion rings, indicating that there is a monster nearby. Glowing wraiths emerge out of the water and start to attack them, killing them off one by one. More monsters appear as Vesemir stabs one of them before running. Thomas is killed, and the children's bodies haunt Vesemir, who runs in fear, before he is knocked off a cliff. Vesemir wakes up in the castle infirmary, bandaged up as he observes a bloody bed next to him. He makes his way to a tree in the dining hall, which displays the medallion of fallen Witchers, and he takes Thomas's. As he is crying, the medallion rings, leading him to a room where he finds a monster in a lab inside. Vesemir is confronted by one of the mages. The mage tells him that Witchers and mages age slowly, giving them decades to hone their skills. He shows Vesemir a monster made of 3 different species, revealing that it was engineered. The mage, Rydrick, tells him that mages created the beasts a long time ago to kill the elves, and then made Witchers to kill the beasts they created. Deglin arrives and hands Vesemir a letter left for him, who's furious that the Witchers knew that all the children would die. Vesemir reads the letter written to him by Eliana as we see him going through the transformations to become a Witcher. She writes that his father was killed during a raid on the village and tells him not to return home. She was taken in by a noble family who are treating her well. We witness Vesemir's death as well as his rebirth before seeing him in the present time as he slaughters different monsters for gold. He showcases his skill and brutality in dealing with the monsters as he gets richer and richer. He reunites with his friends as he and Luca go to town to get drunk. They are both in a tavern enjoying themselves when a knight confronts them and asks them to leave as Witchers are not welcome within the people. Luca defends himself and presumably kills him. Gilchrist later on tries again with the king to capture and execute the Witchers for killing 2 knights, but Lady Zerbst explains that the knights instigated the fight, and the Witchers were only defending themselves. Gilchrist tells the uninterested king that the people's faith in the monarchy is already fading after the forest attacks. Lady Zerbst tells her that they shouldn't go to war with the Witchers just so they can paint them as the monsters she wants them to be. Gilchrist tells the court that Lady Zerbst's seat is honorary and earned by her body, not blood or title. The lady suggests to the king that they clear the forests with the help of the Witchers to avoid war. Meanwhile, in jail, Vesemir annoys the sleeping guards who throw him in a room to eat, where he finds a honey cake. Lady Zerbst emerges and tells him that there's no need to split it today like they were younger, revealing herself to be a much older Eliana. Vesemir is shocked to see her. She reveals that she was married to the son of the nobles and had a good life. Vesemir clearly still has feelings for her. She tells him that the king will grant him amnesty for killing the knights in exchange for killing whatever is in the woods, but he will be accompanied by a chaperone, which he is greatly annoyed by. The chaperone is none other than Gilchrist, who accompanies him as he tells her that he has no intentions to beat her guard. Vesemir proceeds to irritate Gilchrist with a never-ending story as she displays her fire magic out of boredom, which is supposed to be forbidden. She tells him that magic is a form of chaos that mages as well as witchers are connected to, but witcher magic is corruptive. She tells him a story about a witcher who helped an ailing priest. The witcher told him that the sickness was a curse and could be lifted by killing whoever placed it. The priest pointed fingers at a local sorceress, whom the witcher killed and got paid for with valuable rubies. After the priest got better, he found an identical ruby within one of his cook's belongings, revealing that the witcher was the one who made him sick through his cook so he could get paid. They make their way through the woods while seemingly going in circles. She reveals a cloaking spell and takes it off, revealing an entire hidden land. Vesemir's medallion rings and they find a monster who speaks the Elven dialect Kitsu. Another monster arrives and attacks them as they try to deal with it. Gilchrist shoots a magical arrow at the beast, then Vesemir stabs it before it spits a gas at him. Gilchrist traps it with magic and Vesemir lights it on fire. Kitsu mourns the dead monster as Vesemir tells Gilchrist that he underestimated her power.
You underestimate my power!
Kitsu causes an avalanche before she transforms into a fox and runs away as Vesemir throws a dagger at her. Gilchrist reveals even more hidden land as Vesemir finds his bloody dagger. Kitsu's powers of illusion are unnatural. Vesemir tells her that the first monster he ever encountered was a Mar, and even though Kitsu is an elf, she smells like a Mar. They make their way to a former Elven school, which was turned into a garrison during the Elven cleansing. Vesemir picks up Kitsu's trail and they enter the building where they discover the bodies of Elven girls. They hear voices nearby and make their way to investigate before they find Filavandrel tied to a pillar. He reveals to them that Kitsu has been kidnapping the girls and transforming them into monsters. Vesemir wonders if she's mutating the girls, then who mutated Kitsu. They find that her genes were crossed with a Mar, giving her powers of illusion that were greatly enhanced. Gilchrist accuses the Witchers of being the only ones capable of this. Vesemir starts to deny it, but realizes that Diglin could be the one behind it all, as Witchers are struggling to find monsters, and he previously welcomed the idea of a new hybrid. Suddenly, an elf girl appears in front of them looking mutated. Without hesitation, Gilchrist tries to kill her and fires an arrow, which Filavandrel blocks with his hand to protect the young girl. Vesemir draws his sword on Gilchrist before she tries to shoot her again. Filavandrel says he'll take her back and raise her as an elf, pleading with them to leave the elves alone as they have already been wiped to the brink of extinction by the humans. Vesemir allows him to leave, to which Gilchrist mocks him and says that if she offered money, he would have gladly slaughtered them all instead of finally discovering his morality. He replies that while she thinks she's pure and noble, the elven bodies rotting outside are a display of her own people's morality. She looks at her hands as if she's looking at the blood on her hands. She steps on the edge of the mountain and begins working her magic. She destroys the school and buries it below an avalanche. Back in town, Vesemir talks to Eliana about Deglin and his possible involvement in creating new monsters. Vesemir says he needs to know for certain and stop him as Eliana asks him to flee with her, but his morality won't allow him. Back in the mountains, Kitsu suspiciously meets Gilchrist, indicating that they had been working together. Gilchrist later on presents the king with mysterious proof of the Witcher's involvement in creating monsters. Luca is clueless to the accusations as Eliana pleads with the king that not all Witchers are aware of this, but the king executes Luca anyway. Eliana asks the king where Gilchrist is now, as she is suspicious of her involvement as well. Back at Kaer Morhen, Vesemir investigates the labs. He finds multiple tanks with living monsters inside. Deglin confronts Vesemir and confesses what he's done. Monsters were going extinct and Witchers were no longer useful for the world, so he had to do something about it. He tells Vesemir that he can make more money than he could dream of. He admits to mutating Kitsu, but she got out of hand with too much power. Deglin tells him that the only thing keeping humans from eradicating Witchers is the existence of monsters. They fight for a brief moment before they are interrupted by Eliana, who warns them that Gilchrist is coming to hunt them down. As the moon shines bright, Gilchrist and an angry mob prepare to storm the castle. Vesemir learns of Luca's death and blames Deglin for it. The mage reminds them that only he and his mages know the secret magic behind a Witcher's creation. If they die, there will be no more Witchers. Deglin tells him to seal himself in the labs while they deal with the threat, and Eliana warns him not to underestimate Gilchrist's power as it could prove to be a deadly mistake. Vesemir suggests reasoning with Gilchrist, but Eliana tells him that for Gilchrist, killing is easier than tolerating what is different. Vesemir tells Eliana to get as far away as possible, but she refuses and stubbornly says that she'll protect the children and hide in the castle. In the calm before the storm, Vesemir tries to avoid war and gives Gilchrist his word that there will be no more beasts, but Deglin Declan refuses to settle for peace. The Witcher's medallion starts ringing, and in a moment of terror, Kitsu, who had been working with Gilchrist all along, unleashes a horde of monsters upon them. We realize that Gilchrist manipulated and lied to Kitsu to convince her to fight the Witchers using monsters, just like her ancestors did. As the monsters storm in, Declan riles his troops to begin fighting. They combine their efforts in a single magic attack to repel the monsters and begin taking them out in an intense battle. Vesemir gets knocked off the bridge but manages to hang on and saves another Witcher from falling before all their enemies start getting through. Gilchrist states that all Witchers must be wiped off the face of the earth and remove any remains of their existence. The villagers are brutalized by the Witchers as well as the monsters supposedly on their side. Declan urges the Witchers to protect the mages as he works with Vesemir to clear the castle gates. Vesemir latches onto a beast and is dragged in the air, fighting it and ripping it from the inside as he crashes along with it. Declan and Vesemir clear the area before he warns Vesemir that if they get the mage, it will be the end of them. As Eliana protects the children, one of the children, an intriguing ball child, reveals a hidden exit from the back. She asks how he knows this, and the children say that he tried to escape. Eliana tells them to run as far away as possible, and the children take off. As the mages are captured, Eliana orders the guards to lower their swords, telling Gilchrist that she is committing genocide. She pleads with her to stop, but Gilchrist orders her guards to kill her as well. And right on cue, Vesemir arrives. Vesemir is now enraged. He warns Gilchrist that he can drop all her guards before they can move an inch, but Kitsu plays tricks on his mind and drops him into a fake reality with Eliana where they are together. Her perfect life with him. The two of them play around and Eliana starts to disappear as Vesemir is transported to another reality. He's suddenly in a bar with Luca as he realizes that Luca is supposed to be dead. Vesemir is again somewhere else as Eliana paints him in front of a castle. A boy appears and calls him dad, and right then Vesemir realizes that something is wrong as he had always said he does not get along with children. He realizes that Kitsu is playing with his mind and becomes aggressive with the fake Eliana. He breaks Kitsu's hold and immediately takes out the guard before lunging to protect Eliana and fights Gilchrist. They fight as Gilchrist tells him she understands that he never asked for this life. The close battle continues and Gilchrist resorts to magic to hold Vesemir off, before he finally slays her and Kitsu. Suddenly, in a moment of horrific realization, Vesemir starts to see that this was an illusion as well. He had slain the mage, as well as stabbed Eliana. Gilchrist shoots him and reveals that the story of the Witcher slaying the sorceress was in fact her mother, and that's where her hate for Witchers originated from. Before she finishes Vesemir off, Declan thrusts an axe from behind, killing her as his final act. Declan tells him to take Eliana and go. With all the other Witchers dead, the boys who escaped are now Vesemir's responsibility. Vesemir spots Kitsu, but Eliana tells him that she didn't ask for this either, and he lets her go. They leave as the castle is destroyed. As the sun rises, Vesemir rests Eliana by a lake and uses his magic to unfreeze it. Eliana spends her final moments in the perfect life that she's always wanted with him. A sunrise on the lake with the most handsome man before she dies. As the children are somewhere lost, the bald kid takes charge and leads them. Vesemir finds them and gives them the choice to become Witchers or leave. The bald kid is revealed to be Geralt, the greatest Witcher that the world will ever see. The movie does a very good job answering a lot of questions raised by the Netflix show that were not explained before. We finally understand why Witchers are almost extinct and can no longer be created. We also figure out how Geralt and his relationship with Vesemir came to be. It is a very well-written tragic story, showing us a side of Vesemir that we haven't seen. By his own hands, he brought the end of the Witcher creation, as well as killed the love of his life. The two things that he was fighting for are trying to prevent. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support is so important. And tell me what you think about this film. Did you think that the prequel explained all your questions, or did it leave things vague? Will you still be looking forward to the rest of the Witcher series after Henry Cavill departs? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.